Hello, everybody. Welcome to Amar's Game Chat. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. I'm Amar, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about Nintendo's upcoming Nintendo Direct for Mario Kart World, which will be airing on April 17th at 6 a.m. PT, 9 a.m. ET. And yeah, I'm very excited for this Direct, so just wanted to make a video talking about it. Some of my predictions, some of the things I want to see in it that maybe isn't as likely as other things. But yeah, without further ado, I hope you all enjoy this video. If you have any of your own predictions or wants for this Direct, please leave them down in the comments below. But yeah, without further ado, let us get right into it. So yeah, there is a lot of things I would like to see in this Direct. We don't have a confirmed runtime for it. Normally that comes around like 2 or 3 days, or two or like the day before or 2 days before the Direct airs. So we should be getting that soonish. I'm recording this on April 14th, so we should be getting it soonish. Maybe tomorrow, maybe on Wednesday, but I'm expecting it to be around like 20 to 25 minutes. So I think that's going to be a good amount of time for them to recap some of the information they've already released. So that means, the 24 players, you can race with 24 players. The Grand Prix mode, which you can race through 4 courses, and between each course you have an intermission. That is a word I was missing in the video you all will see tomorrow when I was talking about the general Nintendo Direct that we had on April 2nd. I kept forgetting the word is intermission, the course between the two main courses that you're racing in. And we'll probably see stuff about Knockout Tour again. Maybe some information on free roam. Actually, I think this direct is actually going to focus a lot on free roam, not on the information we've seen as of yet. The just driving around in multiplayer, you could drive around and take pictures as you like your Mario characters. Just like, I don't think they're going to focus too much on that. They'll probably mention it, probably show it off again. But I think this direct will focus a lot on what you could do in single player in free roam, because a lot what they've talked about so far in free roam is that you could drive around and you can pretty much just like see all the courses, find out new shortcuts, maybe find out some new tricks you could do, collect some costumes for your characters. But we haven't really seen what you could do in single player. Like what's the reason to do it in single player? Because in a lot of ways you could do a lot of that in the actual courses. Like you can just drive around on the courses when you're racing. You can practice the courses a bunch of times and find out new shortcuts and new areas where you could do tricks off of and stuff like that, and like new railings you can do on it and everything. But you don't need to like do the actual free roam to find out those things. Again, you could just drive around and practice the courses while racing. So that's like my main prediction. I want to see what free roam really is for single player. It's possible whatever I talk about, like whatever they talk about, is also playable in multiplayer. But I do think there is a story mode, or like a maybe not a story mode, but like a mission mode or something that is story oriented in this direct that is explained and that is connected to free roam. Something like what we saw in Mario Tennis Aces. I think it would be a little more advanced than Mario Tennis Aces story mode. Like in terms of just how the scale of it is. Maybe you'll be similar in terms of like what the story actually is, but I think the scale will be pretty big for a story mode like this. And I think that's my main prediction. I guess there is gonna be a story mode in this game where it will teach you the basics of the actual game. So it will teach you how to do tricks. It will teach you how to do how to keep your eye out for shortcuts. Maybe you'll unlock some characters through it. But I think that is going to be the main thing that we see in this direct, because I don't know. I mean, it seems weird for them to do a free roam mode. I mean, it's always possible that is the intention. Just have a free roam mode now, and then maybe with Mario Kart World 2 or whatever the next Mario Kart is named, which is kind of weird to speculate about. We are probably around now 8 to 9 years away from the next Mario Kart, but whatever the next Mario Kart is, maybe that's where they do the story mode. But I think this is what they're doing here. I mentioned it in the video you all see tomorrow, or if you're watching this on Wednesday, April 16th or going forward, that video is already up. But I mentioned this, and it's basically that maybe I didn't mention this. Maybe I just been thinking. Maybe I just thought about this. But normally when Nintendo releases a new Mario Kart, they normally in the past had two different consoles they had developed Mario Kart for. So back during the SNES and well, we can go back not the SNES. We can go to the N64 and Game Boy Advance. They had two Mario Karts then. They had Mario Kart 64 and Mario Kart Super Circuit. On the GameCube and DS, you had Double Dash and Mario Kart DS, and then going forward, you had Wii and DS. I guess you can consider Wii and DS the same. This theory kind of only really applies to like Mario Kart Wii, DS, and Mario Kart 7 and 8. And they had to develop those in pretty close time frames because the consoles also released pretty close to each other. I believe the DS released in like 2004, the Wii released in like 2006. That was like a 2 year separation. And the GameCube released in 2001 or 2000, I believe. So Mario Kart DS being in the middle of those made sense. But like the 3DS released in 2011, the Wii U released in 2012, and Mario Kart was there for launch year on the 3DS, and it was in 2014 for the Wii U. So they had to like develop Mario Karts pretty much. Maybe like with the 3DS one, Mario Kart 7, maybe it was like at its end when they started to develop for Mario Kart 8, but that that pretty much puts them into like a 2 to 3 year development span for those games. Now they don't. Now they've had around 6 to 7 years to develop Mario Party. I mean, a new Mario Kart. I guess you could say maybe 4 to 5 because this is the same studio or EPD that also develops ARMS, and obviously they're probably working on Mario Kart Tour and Mario Kart. The booster course passed at some point during this time frame, but I think that the time that they've been able to have for this game, the additional time that they might not have had in the past, is really showing in the free roam aspect of the game, and how many characters they've added and how expansive the courses are, and that there's intermissions and knockout tour and all that. So I think the last element of that would be a story mode. Again, it doesn't have to be like a super advanced story mode. The story mode that I would like would probably be somewhere between, like in terms of scale, would probably be in between like the Mario Tennis Aces story mode and Super Mario Odyssey, somewhere between there, maybe like right in the middle. Maybe like in scale, maybe a little lesser than like the Donkey Kong Bonanza story that we were expecting it to be, but somewhere like between there. There's been like a lot of discussion. I've seen this a lot, but like that they are releasing this instead of a 3D Mario, and that's why they did 3D Donkey Kong, and like this is gonna serve as like the main 3D Mario story for like for most of this generation. And I could kind of see that, but I also don't really agree with that, just because I think that they are eventually gonna have a 3D Mario within like the first 3 to 4 years of this generation. And I guess obviously, reaches the 4th year, then we are getting to, the middle of the generation where you're going to start hearing rumors about a Switch 2 successor and everything. But I think at a certain point, I think they are going to have 3D Mario this generation. It will be a lot sooner than I think a lot of people think with them doing a 3D Donkey Kong. I do think we're not going to see it this year, like a 3D Mario, but I think maybe like late next year is probably like when we could start really hearing about one. Maybe it releases by then, but that's kind of besides the point. But I think the main prediction I have here is that we're gonna see story mode for Mario Kart World. We're gonna see, it's gonna have missions. I think it's gonna be interconnected. I don't think they're gonna separate like certain things off from each other. Within DS we had like to go through like different missions. I don't think we're going to see that here. I think it is all going to be interconnected. You're going to be able to talk to characters in like the main world, the main hub. You're going to be able to go to like different courses and talk to characters there. I think that's how it's going to work. And we're going to have like different side quests and some missions. And, There's gonna be a main overarching story. Maybe there's a character we haven't seen yet that is a new Mario character in general that we unlock at the end of the story mode or something. But I think there is gonna be some story again, some sort of story mode, and I won't get too much into it now, just because there isn't really like a lot we could predict for that. Otherwise, other than it's gonna be a Mario story. It's gonna be maybe some evil entity takes over the carts like they did in Mario Tennis Aces, or maybe it's not even an evil entity. Maybe it is just a like a tournament of sorts, and like the story is around a tournament. You're training for a tournament, and maybe there's some evil character that maybe they are doing something to their cart that you can't really beat them, and you have to keep training and stuff like that. I think that'd be pretty fun. But again, main thing here, story mode. I think we will see it here. I think there's been a lot of discussion about the price about this game. I think I think what we're gonna see in this direct will justify that price. I think right now, in my opinion, it's justified it. We see how big the game is. We see the new Grand Prix mode. We saw a knockout tour. We've seen free roam, and to me, it's justified. But I think with this new story mode, maybe some other things I'll talk about here, I think we will see a justification for why Nintendo has decided to go to the upper echelon of their pricing scheme, or pricing, like they said they're doing variable pricing, so the upper echelon of their variable pricing scale, and why they maybe didn't want to do it for $70 or $60, something like that. But yeah, um, the other predictions I have are just other ones I would like to see in this direct are like new characters. I think we've already seen 50 new characters. We've seen like the main cast: Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, Donkey Kong, Bowser, Wario, Waluigi. Like we've seen those characters, Toad, Yoshi. And then we obviously have seen a lot of enemies like Goomba and Koopa Troopa, and the Moo Cow, the cow, the Moo Moo Cow, um, and like the Bit Bug and all that. Like we've seen a lot of characters, but I think there is a couple more. I don't think we're gonna see like a huge roster outside of the 50 we've seen so far, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Koopalings did show up again, or you know, we didn't really see any like new enemies from Super Mario Odyssey shown off in like the reveal and the subsequent gameplay we've had. We haven't seen like any new Mario Odyssey characters. I would be totally cool with that. Get some Super Mario Odyssey characters, maybe some characters from Mario Bros. Wonder. Um, we got the Piantas, so maybe some characters from Super Mario Galaxy, stuff like that. But I'm expecting, and then we have some characters that haven't actually returned yet from older games, like Diddy Kong and Funky Kong and Dixie Kong. I'm expecting to see at least one more Kong show up in the game at some point, just because we obviously also have Donkey Kong Bonanza the month after, so that'd be pretty cool, to have see some Donkey Kong characters, and then you're able to see them also in Donkey Kong Bonanza. Maybe Cranky Kong makes his Mario Kart debut or something like that. But yeah, that's what I think we'll see there character wise. I think we're gonna get a confirmation of some returning characters like the Koopalings again, and maybe like a Kong. Um, I saw somewhere that someone said that Kamek hasn't been shown off yet. I'm expecting Kamek to be in this game. I'm expecting pretty much the entire roster of Mario Kart 8 to be in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe to be in this game. Including the DLC. Outside of the third part, and not the third party characters, the guest characters. I'm expecting that whole roster to be there. And that obviously includes Funky Kong and Dixie Kong and Kamek and stuff like that. So I'm expecting that roster to be there. My thing is like in on that reasoning is I don't know why they would add those characters to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe if they weren't thinking about adding them again to Mario Kart World, because obviously those characters, like the last batch of characters were added in 20, or all the characters were added in 2023. The games were revealed in 2025. I don't really see a reason why they wouldn't want to bring over all those characters. Again, we'll have to see on that, but I think we're gonna see some new characters in this trailer. I don't know if we'll get a confirmation how many characters are actually in the game, excluding costumes, but I think we'll see a couple more, and I would be happy with that. we have somewhat of like a Captain Toad costume in the game already. I would love to see like a confirmation of like a Captain Toad character. I don't think we're gonna get that because again, because we have that costume, it looks like Captain Toad. But I think that'd be cool. Maybe a character from Mario and Luigi Brothership. We haven't really seen them like ever touch the games that like aren't like mainline, like the 3D Mario's, the 2D Mario's. Maybe some spin-offs, but we haven't really ever seen them talk like do anything with like the RPGs. We do have that costume looks like Boshi, but um we haven't really seen them like do anything with Mario and Luigi or like the sports games. We like, I would love to see some characters that aren't necessarily from the main line show up here. Maybe like Luigi Mansion, maybe EGAD, something like that. But I'm not expecting that. But it would still be cool for something like that to show up. I'm okay with the nods. Again, Boshi costume looks like Boshi, but it'd be cool. Toadsworth, stuff like that. Um, and then I guess I could talk a little bit about what I think. Other things I want to see in this direct. I think there's been a lot of speculation that there's 30 courses in this game. Maybe there's 32. Maybe if there's 32, then this is kind of not necessarily to be able to put here. But I think there's going to be a couple more courses we haven't seen yet show up in this direct. Um, I think we've seen most of the courses again through the direct not last week, but 2 weeks ago. I think we've seen most of the courses there, and then through like the gameplay that we've been seeing at like not Super Nintendo at Nintendo Switch 2 experiences and during the Nintendo Switch 2 Treehouse segments. I think we've seen most of the courses. Obviously, we haven't seen a Rainbow Road, but I think one of the regional Nintendo accounts did post like a screenshot that had a Rainbow Road looking emblem on there. So Rainbow Road's probably confirmed. But I think we're gonna see a couple more courses here. Maybe we won't see like new courses, but I think we'll see a couple courses that we haven't seen much of in the Treehouse and the experience segments, and we'll see a little bit more of those courses. I think they're gonna talk about the intermission feature, because that's something I've been thinking about. Like, obviously, I think I'm gonna be playing with intermissions just because I think that's a pretty cool feature. But for like the Grand Prix, I think it would be cool if they did something where you could turn off the intermissions and you're just gonna be able to play like on the courses 3 laps or 4 laps or how many laps, then through the courses again. And maybe the courses change a little bit as you're driving through them. And like that's like the trade-off. Like, you're not doing intermissions, but you do get like courses that change a little bit. And then if you are doing intermissions, you don't really get that. I think that'd be pretty cool. I'm okay with the intermissions. I think intermissions are pretty cool. I'll definitely be playing with them. I think we've already seen that you could turn off the intermissions in versus mode. I don't know if maybe that was for Grand Prix, but I think there's gonna be like a trade off. Like, if you do intermissions and you can't, like, something else doesn't happen in the course, but if you do intermissions, then I think I explained it. Like, intermissions, you get that huge like race to the actual next course, and you get a lap on the other course, and then without intermissions you get like 3 full laps or 4 full laps or 2 full laps on the other course, on the actual course itself. But I think that'd be pretty cool. Other than that, I think we'll see a couple more costumes for characters here. We haven't seen all of them, I don't think. We saw in the treehouse, I believe, that they showed off that Mario gets 10 costumes. That could be a little bit more. I mean, again, they're playing on like a demo version that I don't think you could see like Rainbow Road or anything. So it's possible there's like more than 10 Mario costumes. Possible then that there's more than 10 costumes for some of the characters. I think that'd be pretty cool. I think that'd be pretty cool. We get like 20 costumes. I other thing, I guess, like I'm just like talking about Mario Kart World here now. It would be cool if they showed off like a feature where you can like have all of the costumes lined up after each character. So we get like what the main character looks like, and then all their costumes lined up right after it. I don't think they've shown that off yet. I think we've only really seen like all the costumes. You see like the main cast, and then we see like their costumes later down the line. Um, I think it'd be cool if you can just sort them, by character, or you could include them like as like a when you click like the main silhouette or like the main character, then all their costumes pop up. But um, I don't think they're gonna. I mean, I think we've already seen that there isn't costumes for like a lot of the enemies, so maybe they don't want to do it that way because then it would make like why isn't there costumes for certain characters and not other characters? But I think that'd be a pretty cool way just to minimize the character selection screen a little bit, make it easier for anybody to find the character they or like the costume they want to play with. Because with Captain Toad, I mean with Toad, I'm gonna try to do the one that looks like the most like Captain Toad most of the time. So I would love easy access to that, or just I think we've seen like on there is a sort button on the actual character select screen, so maybe you could sort it by the last character you played or something like that. I'm okay with if you do like by the last character you played, because again, Captain Toad will always be at the top, or the Captain Toad ish costume will always be at the top. Um, Other things I would like to see in this direct. There's one thing I want to finish off on, so I'm delaying until we get there because I think that's gonna be the other main thing. Besides the story mode that we see in this direct. Um, you know, Again, I think we're gonna see courses here. I think we'll see new characters, new costumes, story mode. Um, I guess, I guess there's been some thought that they'll talk about DLC here. Post-launch free updates or paid DLC. I think we'll hear information about free updates. I don't think we're gonna hear anything about paid DLC. And even before they announced the price, I don't think that was their plan to talk about paid DLC in this direct. Just because I think that's gonna be something that they have as like a major announcement, a direct, like a general direct in like the near future. Not maybe not this year, but like maybe summer next year. We hear that they are doing paid DLC where they're adding like 4 new cups or with like 60 new courses, over like the span of like 2 years or something like that. Um, or like then that will add new characters, new costumes, and stuff like that. I think because and the reason why I want to say like I don't even before they announced the price, I think this direct has been finalized for a little bit now. You know, it's it. I mean, obviously they can go back and change the directs if they want, but I think the script's been finalized. I think they've got all the footage they've wanted for this direct for a very long time now. And that's why they were confident enough to also be able to announce the direct during the big Nintendo Switch 2 Nintendo Direct. So, but I don't think they're going to talk about that again because I think that would be a big announcement like next year that, we're doing paid DLC, paid content for Mario Kart 8, Mario Kart World, and you're getting all these new courses and all these new characters, maybe an expansion to like the story mode or something like that. Um, Especially if like we aren't going to be seeing the paid DLC for like another couple of, if we won't be seeing it until like next year, like summer of next, I mean not summer, like maybe winter of next year. That's when we get like our first batch of new courses. I think they would want to hold off on that announcement until then, because that's what Nintendo's been doing a lot recently. They've been holding off on a lot of their announcements until like a direct before that announcement, like before that game releases, the direct before or 2 directs before, then they'll announce the game, opposed to like doing it like 4 to 5 directs before and like 2 years before. But I think we will hear things about free updates in this direct. I think there'll be like tournaments and stuff that Nintendo's gonna host. That's and like I posted this somewhere. I think it was on Family Boards, but I think Nintendo will try to do a like Splatoon type of rollout for this game, like Splatoon 3, Splatoon 2 and 3 rollout for this game, where we got a lot of content at launch, but then maybe every couple of months we see a new Splatfest equivalent show up, or maybe there isn't paid DLC. Maybe we get that. Maybe we get a new 2 or 3 courses every half a year or something like that. But I think we're gonna see free updates. They add new carts. Maybe they add a couple new costumes and a couple new characters every couple of months. We see like again a Splatfest equivalent, like a Mario, and then they'll do like their own thing with that. It doesn't have to be like teams or anything. maybe you're all racing to a certain goal like they did on Mario Day, where you were like racing to, I believe, play like 1 million races in a specific tournament, or maybe like 10 million races or something like that. I think that'd be pretty cool if they did something like that. Um, you know, Again, new characters, new costumes, maybe a course here and there. And then maybe like the paid DLC later down the line is actually something related to the story, as I mentioned earlier, and not really like new courses or anything. But I think that'd be pretty cool if they did like that free update strategy. Obviously, I think they would need to have, and I think they've already shown off they have enough content at launch to justify that you should go out and buy the game now and play it, and then promise free updates with new courses and new carts and characters and everything. Just pretty much promise post-launch support for the for the whole console generation. Because I don't think we're gonna get another Mario Kart after this one for this generation. This Mario Kart's pretty big. It's pretty huge. It's the launch title, so I imagine that's also one of the reasons why they wanted to get it out at launch, because this will be a game to support for the whole generation. We will get new characters and everything. It's gonna be something that's constant updates. So, and this will serve pretty much as our main multiplayer game until Splatoon 4 or the next Splatoon or the next Smash Brothers or like a Ultimate Deluxe or something like that. But the last thing I want to talk about, besides again, characters, costumes, story mode, courses, costumes, characters, everything, is battle mode. I think besides story mode, this will be the main focus here, because I think battle mode is going to be a pretty big function for the game. We already saw with like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, battle mode is pretty big. I don't think battle mode's like as played anymore as it was at launch, because I think a lot more people are just racing and stuff like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe now. But they did make a huge push for battle mode in that game. Those 5 battle mode battle modes, like we had Coin Runners, Shine Thief, Renegade Roundup, Balloon Battle, and there was one more, Bomb Blast. We had all of those in the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and I think they're gonna want to try to replicate that a little bit here. Maybe it isn't gonna be like as many modes or as many, like, I don't really know, like maybe not as many courses, because I think we have also 8 like remade or new courses in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for battle mode, and so I could see them doing like maybe 5, but they are not like what we saw in Mario Kart 8, the original Mario Kart 8 launch, where they're on like the actual courses. I think that we will still see separate courses for battle mode. And if they do it right here and they want to still do it like on the actual courses, and maybe they section off certain courses, or it's like a certain area of like the free roam that you could do battle mode in, I think that'd be pretty cool. If you can like initiate like a battle mode like in one specific area, and then like barriers drop around the area, so you could do Coin Runners or Shine Thief or Balloon Battle like that specific area. I think that'd be pretty cool. I just don't want the areas to get like too big, where I don't know if they'll do 24 players in battle mode, but like we have like 16. I don't want like to be where everyone's able to scatter all over the place, and it's harder to find people and everything. I think it could be a little bit bigger than like what we saw. I think the biggest they can get is like what what one course would look like as like a battle mode course. And so that's what I like. That's why I wanted to say like maybe you can initiate it anywhere in like the free roam area, and then you can battle mode there. And like it sets its own barriers based on how many players you have, and just how like what the mode maybe you're playing is. But yeah, I think battle mode will be a huge focus here. I'm very excited to see what battle mode ends up being in this game. I was honestly thinking about maybe there isn't a battle mode here, and maybe Knockout Tour is what we see battle mode turn into, because it is kind of battle mode. It's like an elimination type tournament where I think it's every 3 laps, or like every course pretty much. You're pretty much racing, and then whoever's like in the bottom 4 gets eliminated. I think that could be something that battle mode has turned into, and I wouldn't be too angry at that because that looks like a feature I'm going to be playing a lot. But I would still like there for there to be like a traditional battle mode with balloon battle, and maybe they bring back like the Shine collection mini game or battle mode from like the DS. So it's not Shine Thief, but you're like collecting like as many shines as you find on like the course, and maybe we can connect that to Nintendo Switch Welcome Tour, and you're able to race around on a Nintendo Switch 2, like you did in Nintendo in Mario Kart DS with the Nintendo DS, the original Nintendo DS. But yeah, I think battle mode will be a big emphasis here, besides story mode. And again, I think if battle mode is still something that's separate away from Knockout Tour, I think we see a new battle mode, like I don't want to keep saying battle mode, but like something new for battle mode, like a new, like what would be the equivalent of Renegade Roundup for this game. I think we see that here, and so maybe it's something that does that, like has to do with like the free roam, and maybe hide and seek is like a new battle mode. I think that'd be kind of cool. We go from Renegade Roundup to hide and seek, and like you're able to hide in like a specific area on the actual world. I think that'd be pretty cool. Actually, I'm actually gonna go with that. I think we're gonna see a hide and seek mode introduced in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I mean Mario Kart World. I think that'd be pretty cool. But there's other things obviously I would like to talk about with this game, but I don't really know if they're like too aligned with what would be shown off in this direct. Because I think this direct will be a blowout for what the game actually is. I think we will find out most of what the game is in this direct, but I still think they're probably gonna keep a couple of secrets for the actual launch. So maybe if there's maybe we don't find out any characters here, but there's they do infer that there's unlockable characters outside of the 50 or 50 something that we've already seen for the game. And like they'll be unlockable, and they don't want to spoil them. Maybe Rob makes his return in the game, but again, I mentioned I think we'll see in a couple new courses. Battle mode, I think will be pretty cool. Again, I think knockout, that's like me. I think this is gonna be the one, like Mario Kart, where I finally really fall in love with battle mode. If they do something really cool, like a hideout. I mean, not hideout, like a hide and seek mode. But again, I will be playing a lot of Versus and Grand Prix and Knockout Tour, so maybe they don't put as much of a big focus on battle mode this time, and I'm gonna be okay with that because Knockout Tour looks really awesome. And maybe again, if they promise like post-launch support, maybe that's where they can add like a battle mode. Again, maybe hide and seek. I'm really gonna stick on this hide and seek mode that I was talking about, 'cause I think that'd be pretty cool. And maybe they add like a couple of new items. Oh, that's the last thing, items. I think we're gonna see a couple new items here that we haven't seen in either the actual trailers or the tree houses. I think we've seen like Ice Flower, and we've seen the coin block and the golden shell. I think we will see a couple more items besides those, and those were just the items they wanted to just show off in like the demos and everything, because it would kind of weird if they showed off all the items already, because items are a big feature, I feel like, in Mario Kart. So it doesn't have to be like new items, like per se. Maybe it's like returning items, like maybe the duplicate block, but like the deploy block. I'm not sure what it's called, but like the block where it looks exact same as the question mark block, or like the item block in the item box in the game, and you can run into it, and it acts as like a item, like a banana of some sort. Maybe we see that here. Though I think that become a little bit of I guess the other thing we have to like think about when we think about items is does any item become like a nuisance to be able to use with 24 players on the tracks, just because I could see that happening, like a fake item. There it is, a fake item box, where there's too many characters on the screen, or like too many players, and it becomes like there's like not really a easy way to discern the two, the item box and the fake item box. And I think that's like something they have to consider. We've already seen that they have reduced some of like the lightning. They've reduced like how long lightning shock lasts for, or I think same thing with like the blue shell and like certain enemies, not certain enemies, but like certain durations of how long an effect from a certain item takes. I think we've seen they've reduced that, so maybe they don't do that with fake item blocks. But yeah, new items. I think we'll see a couple. I think every Mario Kart has had a new item, a couple of new items. So, and it seems like the items that they've already shown off are coming from Mario Kart Tour. So I think they would want to have, maybe one or two exclusive items from this game. Um, I think we've also seen like a hammer from like Hammer Bros throwing hammers in the trailer. I think that's a new item too. But still, I think a lot of the items we've seen are coming from Tor, and so I think they would want to have like one or two exclusive items to World, especially since they finished updating Tor. So any item ideas that they've had, I would love to see that show up in Mario Kart World. But yeah, I think that is everything I have for this direct. I'm very, very excited for this direct. Um, as long as everything goes right, I will also be uploading a reaction to this direct. I was gonna try to do it live, but and I still might, but that's like we'll see what happens on the day. Because I am feeling a little under the weather at the time of recording this, so if I'm still feeling like a little bit under the weather by the time the direct's happening, I think I'll just do like a normal reaction, and I'll do a live stream at some point because I do want to get back into live streaming. Either gameplay or just direct reactions or reactions to Nintendo showcases, but that's besides the point. I think my excitement level for this direct is out of 10 out of 10. And you'll hear that a lot from me. Like I will say my excitement level for directs are always pretty much out of 10 out of 10. And that's true. I'm very excited for directs. I treat them as like big events. So I'm very excited for this one. It is our first direct pretty much in this Nintendo Switch 2 era, because while and the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct we got on April 2nd obviously started that, but this is like the first one where actually like it's really into the era. We've seen what the console looks like, we've seen the features the console has, and now we're gonna see some of the new mechanics that how that's translating to the games. Do we see a mouse mode for Mario Kart here? I'm not sure that's too likely. It'd be cool if they have like an exclusive, because I don't think they're gonna want you to play mouse mode against like people that are actually using the controller. Just because I think it would be like something like with drag and drive, like we're seeing, like where you have to drag the controllers to move the cart, and maybe you can like turn. You have to play. I think you have to play with two mouses or like two mouse cons here, but you can like turn and stuff like that. So I can see that being like an exclusive mode. Where you can like drive around like the free roam, like the whole world using mouse cons or something like that. But it would have been cool if they also, and I guess they could still do that. They could implement Labo capabilities with the game. You just have to use your old Joy Cons from the Switch 1. I think they're pretty cool, but I don't think they will. But yeah, I think that's really all I have to talk about with this direct. The video is close to 40 minutes long, so I don't want to continue talking and just continue rambling. But again, my excitement level for this direct is really high. I'm really excited for this direct. I'm really excited to see Mario Kart, see new Mario Kart 8, Mario Kart World footage. Because we have been seeing a lot of the same footage from the experience events and from Treehouse, so I'm excited to see some new stuff. Some new stuff that, as I'm watching others talk about the game or discuss some of their theories or predictions for the game, you see some new footage in the background. But yeah, that is all I have for you all today. So I hope you all are doing well and staying safe again, and I hope you all do what makes you happy. And I will see you in the next one. So I hope you all are excited for the Mario Kart 8, Mario Kart World Nintendo Direct on April 17th. But until then, I'll see you guys there. Goodbye.